Hey, we're back. It's One Glove. I guess we should probably do an intro about what we are. We're like a culture and fighting kind of podcast.
Just the everything in general.
And mostly food and everything in general.
Food.
Lots of food.
Love food.
I'm Zuff. This is Mona.
Hey.
And we're here to make love to your ear, vajayjays.
Yes.
Apparently that is our new tagline.
Yeah, we said it last week and people were going spastic over it. So
yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right,
roll with that.
We'll just roll with it. Yeah. So Mona, do you want the good news or the bad news?
Bad news. Let's go with bad news first.
And then, all right, cool. And then we finish off on a happier note.
Sweet news.
I'm sure everyone has been across this thing at the moment, but it's what's happening in Minneapolis, not Minnesota. Minneapolis, which is the black guy that was killed by the police officer.
Knee on the old
knee
neck.
on the neck for 7 minutes.
Dick move, bro.
Like, okay, look, you're a trained professional, supposedly at least. I don't know what the level of training in America is, and I'm starting to doubt it more and more of their general police departments. But for 7 minutes being on someone's neck, that's not good.
Yeah, fuck yeah, bro. It's just like the dude's saying, I can't breathe.
Yeah, and groaning in between.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need some water, I can't breathe. And then people are yelling at him, yelling at the police officer going, you need to get off him, he can't breathe, he's not resisting.
Yeah.
Right? And they're telling him, get in the police car. And he goes, I can't because you're on top of me. It's just so messed up. And then now you've had, it's 3 days of riots now as of today, which is Saturday in Australia. 3 days of riots, and there's been looting and stuff. Now, I don't see how the looting helps. It doesn't help the situation, right? People are just taking...
It's making a state...
Nah, I think it's just taking advantage of a bad situation.
It is.
You're messing with local businesses, and some of those will be black owners, black business owners and everything. So you're not really helping the community. I can understand why people are attacking police stations because it's the police force that have kind of perpetrated it. But
America's always had the American police force have always had that problem.
Yeah.
They always seem to be making the same mistakes with the situation
and just not doing anything about it.
You got African American people that aren't doing anything and they get fucking brutalized. This is not a new thing.
Yeah, it's like that kid who was I think it was just earlier this year. He was just running in the park, and an ex-police officer chased him down and shot him.
What the fuck for?
And I think it's in the same area. No reason. The dude was having a jog in the park, and then there's a little it's like a 5-second clip of them going behind him with a car, and then they've obviously jumped out of the car, and then they've had a scuffle, and then there's just pop.
I mean, admittingly, there's a lot more dangerous crimes in America, with people allowed to run around with guns and all the rest of it. But surely you can figure out, the situation.
Yeah.
You got a guy that's not resisting you, and you decide to be a fucking dick anyway. Yeah. If you got a guy that is resisting you and giving you a lot of shit, okay, then maybe
tase him.
Tase him.
Yeah.
But they got to be smart enough to figure out the situation.
You'd hope so. You'd hope they would have at least some of an intelligence requirement with the police force. But sometimes they just seem to be, I don't know. It's one of those things as well as a few bad eggs, right? They spoil the pot.
But there's a fucking lot of bad eggs over there, man.
Apparently in that area too, it's year after year. There's at least 3 years in a row someone has been shot by police that shouldn't have been shot by police.
So I got a mate. He's from New York, and he's African American, and he took his missus back. She's his missus is Kiwi. She's Samoan Kiwi, and he took her back to New York, and they were walking around, and they needed to get somewhere, and he said they saw an officer on the side of the road. He goes, Hey officer, I'm trying to find this place. Could you point me in the right direction?
Yeah.
The officer straight away, without batting an eyelid, goes, "What the fuck do I look like? Fucking Google Maps? get the fuck out of here. Like,
What?
That's what he said to him. And it was,
Just not here to help you at all.
no, like, sorry, I don't know where that is.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, that's how he spoke to
Yeah.
my mate.
That's so weird, man. It's just aggressive straight away.
Yeah, bro. It was just like,
Like-
whoa, he's not trying to, he's just asking for directions, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know, get the fuck out of here. You know, that
That's so weird, man. I don't understand that super like aggressive approach straight away. Like, thankfully in Australia, it's pretty different. Unless, you know, like I've been told up in the NT, it can be a bit sketchy up there if you're dark skin.
Yeah.
Like my brother's up in the NT, and he's like, they don't let dark skinned people into bars and stuff up there.
Oh,
At all.
really?
Yeah, they're just like, and he's been carded there so many times. Like,
What do you mean, carded?
As in, like, police will ask him for his identification.
Really?
Yeah, more than he's been in, like, you know, our state for like years. Most of his life, he's only been up there for a couple of years, and he's like, I've never been carded so much. You know, if they've like not let us into bars and stuff, and especially if you are African or Aboriginal, they won't let you into bars and stuff.
Fuck, that's rough.
Man, it's bad. It's like, you know, in Australia we like to think that sometimes that, oh yeah, it's not as bad as America, but I guess it just depends on where you are. Like this kind of stuff makes me think like the stuff that's happening in Minneapolis makes me think about the Cronulla riots in Sydney.
Oh yeah, that's
2000.
Did they happen on Australia Day or?
I don't remember. I think it happened just after 9/11 happened.
Oh, okay.
All right, and it actually might have been a couple of years after. And tensions were like rising quite a bit,
Yeah.
and then it was just like a bunch of anyone who looked generally Arabic getting beaten up.
Fuck.
Yeah, and it got bad, man. And it's just like, and you know, you tried to say, oh yeah, there's you know, it's not as bad in Australia, but it's only because we probably have less population.
Yeah, like it's everywhere, man. Like fucking, I'm sure you growing up with some.
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah.
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
Yeah.
And I know you have, you know, growing up in New Zealand. You know,
Yeah.
in fact, it probably sounds like it was probably a bit worse in New Zealand, which is, I think we've talked about this before. It's weird because it's within people of very similar cultures, right? Like, I remember you saying for you didn't feel like you fit in any one of the categories because you're like part white, part Samoan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Samoan people weren't really accepting you, and the white people aren't really accepting you. So
I think it like they kind of just like second glance you. You know what I mean? Like
as in like they don't know what to think of you, or
yeah, I think it's probably more like what do we do with this kid
with this being
like being like I think I talked about it on like ages ago, and my brother and I, when we were in Sunday school, when we were forced to go to like Samoan Sunday school, we don't know what the fuck is going on because they were speaking in Samoan, and we got ridiculed for it.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that, and
like,
like you just, it's really weird because
it's like, what the fuck do you expect? Like,
Yeah.
my brother, like he doesn't say much, but when he's got something to say, watch
He'll
out.
say it.
Yeah, like, and we're about like 12 or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And like she started talking to my brother in Samoan, and he like just stood up in front of the whole, like there's like 30 kids there.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of giggling, and he stood up and he goes, and he just fucking gave it to her.
Well, it's
And
like I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know what you're saying. Why are you talking to me like this?
Yeah.
You know that I don't understand you. So why are you talking to me like this?
Like there's no point.
And,
And
like-
like you're just trying to embarrass me.
Yeah.
Type of thing. Yeah.
Shut her down.
Oof.
And it was just
Wait,
like,
how old were you when this happened?
I was about 12, and he was about 13 or something
Yeah.
like that. And like, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking-
What he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, shut her down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, kind of made them back off.
I kind of had like not a similar experience, but like, okay, so I grew up Muslim, right? And
Yeah.
we used to go to like the mosque every week to learn Arabic because we had to, read the Quran and stuff. And I don't know, the way the imam was teaching us wasn't the best. This guy was not a good imam. The one that's
Good
there
what?
now, imam, it's like the priest, right?
Imam.
Imam. IMAM,
Okay.
right? And it's basically just like the head of the mosque.
Yep.
And you can have more than one, but usually there's one. And this guy was like in charge of teaching the kids Arabic, but he used to just like flog the shit out of you if you like mispronounce something or you're reading too slow or any justification for him to hit you, he'd hit you.
But,
and he would speak to you in like Arabic sometimes, and I'm like, dude, I'm obviously not able to speak Arabic properly. It's like, why are you talking to me in Arabic? Like,
baby steps.
Yeah, like I can't go from like 0 to 100 straight away. Like, fucking give me some proper lessons, man. His idea was like, read the Quran, like just read it. And then if you're not reading it, if you look like you're not reading it, which I couldn't that well, he would come and smack you over the back of the head.
But was he Arabic?
I think he was, yeah.
Because you're a Fijian Indian, right?
Yeah.
But was he like kind of discriminating you against you because you were Fijian Indian?
Nah, man, he used to beat the shit out of like the Somalian kids and stuff too.
Oh, okay.
And like, Somalian kids, some of them speak Arabic and stuff as well.
So he just hated everybody.
I think he was just an angry person.
Just an angry
like, I remember because some of the Somalian kids at the time were like being really rowdy at the front before we were about to go into class, and he chased them with his thong and started beating them with his thong. Now, kind of funny.
Only because that's happened to me.
Yeah, kind of funny. But also, like, these kids are like 14 years old, 12 years old, and he's just flogging them to the point where they're crying, like a lot.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's not even like a little, it's like a, like really flogging into them. Like, I don't know, man. I don't understand it when teachers like do that, where you're obviously at a point where you're still learning some of the rudimentary stuff or the basics. But
have you had a teacher like away from religion? Okay, have you ever had a teacher that's looked at you and said, he's too dark, he can't learn? Have you ever had that?
But I know my brothers. Like, I've never had. So we went to a 7-day Adventist school, and when I first started off at that school, it was like 95% or 90% like white kids. Yeah. And that's like, I started in there when I was like year 3. And by the time I was in year 12, it was like 80% Islander kids. Like, and the big change was, I think it was when I was in like year 7 or year 8, the principal went from a white guy to an Islander guy. And the Islander guy is like, let him in, let them all in. Like, and it just, the school grew quite a bit as well.
But your rugby team got like really good.
Yeah, we had a rugby union team.
That was a terrible stereotype,
but we did have a good team.
Okay, cool.
Like, it wasn't bad. Like, but it was still in the formation stages. Yeah. And we played union, because it's Kiwi.
Yeah,
it's what you do.
Union.
It's all the same eventually.
Oh fuck! You're gonna start another war if you say that shit. League and union.
Oh, I don't know. I find union more entertaining, but more entertaining to play. Less entertaining to watch.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand any of them. But like you haven't. What about have you had any dealings with cops?
Once.
Like that? Just
twice.
Did you feel as it was like race related?
Yes.
Oh, juicy.
One of them definitely. One of them possibly. Right. So the definite one is we were driving through Garden City. My brother's Honda Civic. And it's my brother's driving, I'm the passenger, and Stitch is in the back seat. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it was near where Rebel Sport and Office Works were. And we're looking for a park, and the police pull us over. And they go, hey, because they were just like, they were in the car park, like walking around. And they're like, hey, can we see your identification? And we're like, sure, what's up? And they're like, oh, there's just been some reports of like, people doing illegal activity in this area.
Is that the blanket statement?
Yeah, I think so. And then Stitch, they didn't see Stitch in the back, so she pops her head out in between both of us, like in the middle, and goes, "Oh, do you need to see my identification?" And they go, "Nah, you're right."
Oh,
yeah. And we're just like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And then another time, Stitch is driving in her Camry. And I'm in the passenger seat. And we get pulled over. I can't remember where it was pulled over. And they're asking Stitch for her license, and her purse is like next to my feet. And I go, I'm just going to go and I'm going to grab the purse.
Did you say that?
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to grab the purse. It's like next to my feet. And as I go to grab down, the other police officer shines a torch at me and has hand ready on gun. Like, I'm like, dude, I just told you I'm about to grab the like thing. And I was like, whoa. And they're like, you can't make any sudden movements. And I was like, bro, I just told you what I was going to do. Like, so, and that's, I think, one of the moments that Stitch realized is just like, oh, he's living a completely different thing at the moment than what I'm living. Like, it's just like, oh shit, that there's a lot going on.
Have you guys ever talked about that?
Yeah, we've talked about it over the years. Like, you know, because she hadn't really experienced any racism herself. Her brother has experienced it, which is interesting because her family's English.
Yeah.
And he was born in England. Oh, he was born in Wales, I think. And when he was growing up, because, you know, of the whole invasion of Australia or whatever by the English, they kept on saying to him, you know, your people need to go back. You guys are like the ones
who was saying that?
Like other like people from Australia who were born here.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't born here. So they were like, you know, it's your fault that the Aboriginals got treated the way they were. You should say you're sorry. It's like, yo, man, I'm like 7 years old or 8 or whatever, you know. I got nothing to do with it. My family obviously wasn't here. I'm like first generation in Australia. It's got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
So like he's experienced that side of it. And then I've experienced the other side of it where it's like, you know, the cops and stuff.
Yeah.
And then my brother, even like in school, my brother, he's experienced it like, so I don't know if he wants me to tell this story, but I'll tell it anyways and we'll see what happens.
Going in.
No, it's not that bad, but it's still, you know. So my brother, he's like really skilled in like building shit. Like he's just really good and that kind of naturally good. And so he was one of 2 people in the manual arts class in year 12.
Manual arts.
Like workshop class, woodwork and metalwork, right?
Man, they change the names all the time.
Yeah, they always change it. Yeah. And for their final project, it was him and his best friend. And him and his best friend are still like, you know, really close. So it wasn't to do with his best friend, but like there was a teacher there who was a little bit maybe not the best with other races. Okay. Slightly racist. And for his final project, my brother researched like Italian style beds. He built this bed made out of like plywood that was like coated in like a dark wood color, floating tables, welded everything himself, finished everything himself, still has the bed, looks amazing, right? The thing is built like immaculately. And his friend built a wooden chair, and my brother, I think it was a wooden chair or a metal chair, one of the two, and my brother helped him build it. And then for the final project,
A chair.
Yeah, a chair, like a beach, not like a poolside chair, right? And like at the end of the year, they were giving awards out for like manual arts and for the best final project, and his best friend got it.
Oh,
I think to me that's like, are you serious? Like he built a whole bed himself in this really amazing style, like floating tables and everything. And the other thing is a chair, which I learned to build like a ladder when I was in year 8, year 9, like manual arts. Like, you know, that's not much of an extension beyond that. And, you know,
maybe the chair
was amazing.
Had features
like magical powers.
Bluetooth chairs, and maybe. I doubt it.
Maybe it had like a spring up dildo or something.
Oh,
hey, good surprise. Bad surprise? Depends on who you are.
Yes.
But
fuck,
yeah,
that's pretty.
Those types of things were like, it's not always like overt, right? It's like little things where like, well, that person won when that person
Clearly he won.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, that person got given a step ahead when the other one didn't. Like, it's
but do you think deep down, honestly, do you think it was race related?
Yeah.
You really do?
Dude, I think like if you saw these final projects, man, there was no doubt. Like multiple people had come up to my brother, teachers included, saying, "Wow, you should have won that."
Really?
Yeah. Going.
Teachers were saying,
dude, like that you should have won that award. Don't know why they gave it, because there was one teacher who made a decision, which was the woodwork or metalwork teacher, and this
maybe
like,
you just
I don't even know how to explain this bed. It's a really nice bed. Like you would probably pay like for the bed itself like $2,000.
Really?
Yeah. And my brother sourced all the parts, got it imported, and he folded all the ply himself. Like he wet it and like molded it and everything.
Oh,
all of that shit. And the other thing was a chair, my dude. A chair. All right. Like I don't know how to explain this. Like it was so definite, so clear cut who the winner should have been, and like his best mate's like, even his best mate was like, that's bullshit. Like you should have won that. Like, and it's one of those things where like who the actual winner is, so it doesn't really matter. But sometimes when you're applying for things, those awards matter to some people.
You know what would have been really cool is like if his mate, which is like, oh shit, my bad.
No, I'm saying if he gave him the award.
Well, no, even said like as he was going up for it, like he'll just be like, oh hey man, I appreciate this, but the real winner of this,
that would have been
like,
dope.
That would have been fucking
that would have
cool,
been dope.
man. Like,
yeah,
they're like and probably would have sent a message to the dude that were handing out the awards.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
You know what, man? Like it might have been one of those things as well, where like the guy doesn't know he has like that bias in the system.
Yeah,
but it's just definitely was there, at least in that decision. Like,
yeah, man. I was like,
but
ooh, that's a bit rough.
Enough of the bad news. Maybe we should move on to the good news.
What is the good news?
The good news is Call Her Daddy podcast is back.
What's that?
The Call Her Daddy podcast is these two chicks who literally just talk about like fucking, sucking dick, like all that kind of shit. And it's like, the Call Her Daddy is like, because in a lot of porn.
That's kind of weird. Call her daddy. And
Call her daddy.
Sex?
Yeah. But it's like the whole call me daddy type of thing that some guys do. But it's like it's flipping it a little bit. Like now it's the chick who's got the power.
Oh,
but
okay. All right.
There was a lot of drama this week in the past 2 weeks because this podcast blew the fuck up. I mean, like they had 4 episodes that they made, and then Barstool like dropped into one of their DMs and was like, "Hey, we're thinking of like bringing you on board. Would you be interested in looking at?" Barstool is like a really big distributor of podcasts. So like they own multiple podcasts, and they like skyrocketed them a little bit, like because they already have an existing fan base. And within 4 months, they were like one of the biggest podcasts. And they were on their first year getting 75 grand. And then the next year was meant to be like 85 grand. And then the year after that was like 95 grand or whatever. Like it was a 3-year deal that they made. And because the podcast had performed so well, the 2 girls who were hosting it got a bonus at the end of the year. So they were already earning more after the bonus than what they would have done in their second year. And then one of the chicks, which is called Alex, I can't remember the other one's name, she did all the work. They would record for 3 hours, and they would cut that 3 hours down into one like high energy hour, because they know that their market is millennials who have no fucking attention span, right? So she would do all this work, and it was like 8 to 20 hours of editing after the 3 hours of recording. So she was putting in a lot of work, and the other one would just host, as in like she'd come in and talk. And there was like, they were renegotiating the contracts at the end of the year, which was in their contract that they're allowed to, at the end of every year, renegotiate depending on how they're tracking. So they were going to at least renegotiate the base salary. The other host, the one who wasn't doing any of the editing and everything, got a boyfriend from, it was a HBO or something like that. And he was like, you guys are getting paid a lot less than industry standard. And started getting into their heads that, you need to be earning more, which they did need to be earning more, because this podcast was making $100,000 per episode on just ads. And then there was merch and alcohol that they sold as well. And so they're forking in money, right? And so they started building up this thing where they were going to put in an offer about new terms. And it was like, we want $1 million each, and we want this and this and this and this. And the host, who was like doing all the work, was like, that's a lot to ask for. And the other host and her boyfriend were saying, no, we're just going to pitch high, and then they'll meet us in the middle somewhere. And they put the offer into Barstool, and Barstool's like, get fucked. Like,
How is this good news?
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. And they were like, get fucked. We own the IP. We don't actually have to do anything for you. So the IP is like the intellectual property, right? So that's the brand and everything. We don't actually have to give you anything. We can just keep it at where it's at. Get fucked. And they're like, okay, whatever. And then they keep on recording podcasts and stuff. And then this chick and her boyfriend are like still in the background saying, okay, we should, ask for some, some other things at least. So they're putting in these offers, and then they have this meeting in the middle of COVID, or just at the beginning of COVID. They have this meeting on a rooftop bar, and the guy goes, "All right, we're going to offer you $500,000 a year, right? We will reduce the term, and we'll give you the intellectual property at the end." So because at the end they weren't gonna own the brand, but now they would, and that's important. Like the brand is everything, right? It makes them money. So they went from 75,000 to 500,000. The chick who does all the work goes, "It's a fucking amazing deal," walks out ecstatic. The other chick thinks, "Not good enough. I'm not happy with that. I'm ready to walk." 500,000 after a year, right?
How is this good news?
Okay, good news is coming. Now the two co-hosts, they're starting to have a big disagreement. They're obviously not aligned anymore about like what they want out of this. One wants to just get out with the IP and move somewhere else to get more money, and the other one's like, "No, I want to stay with these people who have like put money into us and put faith in us, and like they're willing to give us like what we asked for." And they're meeting us in the middle from 75,000 to $1 million. In the middle is pretty much 500,000, right? And there was all these other negotiations going on about them getting like 20% of the alcohol revenue and 15% of the merchandise or something like that, something around that amount, and bonuses and all that kind of shit. And still, the other chicks are not happy. So it ends up being that these two chicks are just not on the same page. So the one who's doing all the work and editing directly contacts Barstool and goes, "Hey, I'm on board with this original deal. I'm ready to go ahead. I want to do my own negotiations. I want to get my own lawyer, everything." And basically it ends up being that the other chick who wasn't doing much work, was just coming in hosting and was trying to like shut down the other chick from like doing as much social media stuff. Like she would do the editing and she'd post up a Snapchat being like, "New episode coming out thing, late night editing. We're going to get it out." And the chick who was just the host would come in and be like, "Can you take that down? It makes me feel bad that you're posting up because now it looks like you're doing all the work." And whenever there was meetings and stuff with other like podcasts, and they'd be like, "Oh, who does the editing?" The chick who's the host just goes, "We do." Instead of like,
rough.
It's like, so the one who is actually doing all the work wasn't getting the credit. And she got an extra bonus for doing all the editing and stuff, but she didn't share that with the other chick because
that's rightfully so.
Yeah.
You do the work, you get
so
the
now,
you get the
good news is they had like a couple weeks where they just weren't recording because there was all these disputes going on. And now the chick who does all the editing and everything has, I believe, gotten the IP, still working with Barstool, started recording again, like it started releasing, like they released an episode on Wednesday. So she's back, but the other chick is gone. So the one who's not putting in that, like the one who just wanted the money, she didn't care about the brand, she didn't care about growing it or like or the fan base and like all this stuff that they've built. She just wanted more money. Like one of the parts of like the terms was, if we wanted to, we can walk away with the IP. We can sign and be like, "No, we're out," and then they get all the IP and everything. And it's like, nah. So the good news is the chick who's doing the work and who's really invested into the brand is actually, she's getting what she wanted and she's back. And now they're recruiting for a second host. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So it's coming back and it's going to be entertaining still because she's super smart, like the chick who's running it. I know it's not like exactly like bright good news because there's a bit of negative to it. But overall, it's happy because it's like, the chick who's been doing all this work, she's not just gonna have all of her shit thrown away. It's like, and it's back. It's a really entertaining podcast. You would love it.
What's it called?
Call Her Daddy.
Call Her Daddy.
It's on Spotify.
It's kind of weird.
So, you got to just listen to some of the episodes. I reckon you'd find it super entertaining. Yeah.
There you go, guys. Do the work and get the rewards.
Exactly. And don't be greedy.
What did my bro say? Is get the mahi, you get the treats or some shit.
Get like the mahi.
Mahi means work.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so he just goes out there and does his thing. He posts these little fucking funny things on Instagram too. He's like, he makes these machine gun noises. He goes like that, and he's just got his phone and he goes, "This is what I do. Get the mahi, get the treats." Like that, and I'm like, dope.
Yeah, cool.
No, but he's out there doing his thing. So
well, that's the thing, man. Like, so this week I had a weird day. Like I was listening to an audiobook by Kevin Hart. Like he's released like a new audiobook called The Decision. And because I'd watched a Joe Rogan podcast, I was like, oh, cool. You know, I canceled my Xbox Live memberships because I haven't touched my Xbox in like 5 or 6 months.
Xboxes are weird anyway, dude.
No, Xboxes were awesome.
They got weird controllers, man.
But the thing
Don't
is,
like the controller.
Since I built Stitch a computer, we've both just been on the computer. There's no reason for us to be on the Xbox anymore. Like, we do have some friends on the Xbox and stuff, which we enjoyed playing with, but there was no point. It was $20 a month down the drain. So I was like, why don't we just cancel our Xbox Live memberships and I'll get an Audible subscription. So I got the Audible subscription. I got this book and another book. And I've been listening to it throughout the whole week. It's really good. It's about making good decisions, basically. And I had a morning when I was like, all right, let's go to bed early. Went to bed at 8:30. Ended up waking up at 3:30 in the morning. Like, way too early. But went for like a walk, exercise, stretch, ate well, meditated. Like, it's a weird good start, and then I had a really bad day the next day. But like, you know, it's like one good day.
Juice.
Karma juice.
No, it's chuck that in there. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, no, okay, that's not going to become a T-shirt.
No. Why not?
Oh, why not? I guess karma juice could be a thing.
Yeah, I know.
We can make it work. We'll make it work.
Probably.
Yeah. Anyways, you know, good news, bad news. You know,
riveting.
Riveting.
I don't know, man. Look, fucking. I think you got to just take the good with the bad in every day, man. Like.
Yeah, there's always going to be some good and bad.
Like Audrey, my partner, wakes up and every day is a good day.
Just chipper all the time.
Yeah, she just wakes up with a smile every single day. Like even when she has what we would consider a bad day, she just tries to see the good in everything.
That's good though, man. You kind of need that
good
positive outlook. Yeah, you need that people around you because, man, if you have just salty people around you all the time, like it doesn't make it.
Energy vampires, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Energy vampires.
Like they just. Yeah. Oh shit. That's 33.
That's 33 minutes. All right. Well, we can finish off on energy vampires though, right? Like,
don't be an energy vampire, people.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
Don't do that.
What's the opposite of an energy vampire though?
Energy vampire slayer?
No, but that's still negative. You're still killing things. Like, I mean, like
the JJ love maker.
Exactly. You're putting energy into the body. The JJ love maker.
Putting it out there, dog.
That's what we're doing, right? We're putting love and energy into your earlobes.
Okay, for today, don't be a racist.
Don't do that.
And don't be greedy. Those are today's lessons.
Bro, why do you keep on looking at the screen?
Oh, shit. Yeah, there it is.
It's right there, man. We're talking to you.
There you are.
And we'll be back next week to make love to your JJs. And anything you want to close off with?
Oh, really? Yeah, I think I just said it. Don't be racist, Australia.
And don't be an energy vampire.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace out. We'll see you next week.
Peace out. One love. Peace.